Well, good morning. You join us for the Manilla Saturday morning crit race. The race today is a bit of a hammer style event in that we have Cat D's, Cat C's, Cat B's and Cat A's all going off, but they will go off at a timed interval. So first off in this race now will be the Cat D's. So we'll tag along with some of the riders as they head off up. So we'll follow Andy Cosgrove from Manilla Cycling North East in his full GB kit there. Obviously this goes off your weighted average and it's related to your Zwift power. So we'll just follow Andy. He will get a slight head start before the rest of the chasing bunch will head off after him. The route today is the Watopia figure of 8 route in reverse. So it's quite a quite a peaky one. We've got a couple of sprints and a couple of King of the Mountains. Those points don't matter today. It is literally the first across the line in your category. So it looks like Andy being the only D rider off there. He's quite new to Zwift. Riding the Zwift bike there, the Zwift carbon bike. So straight in a very slight incline. For those of you that are not used to watching Zwift or riding Zwift, I'll do a little bit of an explanation of what we've got on screen. So to the right of the screen there on the list of riders is everyone that's taken part in this event. Obviously at the top you've got Andy there, who we're currently watching. The orange thumb alongside it allows us to give him a ride on. If we click over that, he will get a big blue tick or a big blue thumbs up above his head, and he will get a ride on. So there's his blue ride on above his head. Now as you go through the list, you'll see the names of the people that are actually in the event. Most of these have got Manilla and then a name or Manilla C, B or A. That's the category of racing that they race in online. So you've now got Andy Redman there, who has set off. So these riders are now, this is now the C group riders. Colin Hogan, Andy Redman, Carl Maynard, Toby Simpson. I believe Toby must have set off a slightly bit early. I think that he's either a B or an A. So these riders are now chasing Andy down. And then underneath their name you will see a little number which states either 3.2, 4.2, 2.1 or whatever. That is their watts per kilo, so that's the amount of power that they're putting out against their average weight. And then the little kilometre banner on the right hand side is the amount of distance that they've actually covered. So from that you can see Andy's covered 1.7 kilometres at the top, and then Colin and this C group, Carl and Lee, have all covered 0.8 kilometres. So these are now heading up that slight little incline, chasing Andy down. So there's 4 of them. Looks to be working together pretty well. So then you've got another slight gap, and then behind them we'll have the B group will set off. So that's the banner on the right hand side. Just above that you've got a little map. That is a map of the route that these riders are taking. On that route, on that map, at the bottom, you may not be able to see it very clearly if you're looking on a small phone, but the bottom of that route is a little black or greyed out area showing the topography, if you like, the up and down, and also any stages or any points marked with a green banner for the sprints, and a red and white checky for the King of the Mountains and the finish. On there you'll also see a little orange circle. That is their current position on the actual route, and then the green dot is them actually physically on the map. Across the top of the banner you've got the average speed of the rider that we're currently watching. So in this case it's Colin Hogan, showing his average speed in kilometres, his distance he's covered, the altitude he's climbed and the time he's been riding. And then the blue banner to the left, this is the one that the riders will be looking at quite a lot, is their powered output. So you've got the power that they're putting out currently, usually a 3 to 5 second average delay, and then the little power bolt signifies that it is actually from a power meter, a verified power meter or a power trainer. You've got their cadence, which is 80 RPM, and then also their heart rate. And then every now and again on the left hand side you'll get a white banner that pops up, and that white banner will explain the current either sprint or the current times for the segment that they're currently on. So that's the Group B riders. We'll just jump back up the road, 1 minute 45 to Andy. Andy's a lone rider, so it will be much harder for him to try and stay away, but he will give it a go. So we'll jump back now. This is our B group riders. As you can see, they've got a yellow jersey with a big B on their back. box there. So this group is will get a slight head over the A group, which will set off a couple of minutes after them, and then once the A group are off, then everyone is away and running. Ian's riding his Factor bike there. So we've got Chris Temple. In this group we have, let's have a look, we'll go through the riders in this group. So Andy is the back of the B group. So in this B group we've got Ian Cox, Chris Temple, Nick Whiteley from Cryogen, Jason Shipton, Owen Newbury, James Wilson. Oh, that's the A group, sorry, the A group now. The B group. The B group. Owen Newbury there. And then we'll now tag back to the A group. This is James Wilson, Joel Garner, Toby Simpson, Mark Best. Let's have a quick look at Mark. I'm sure Mark will have his flat cap on. Yes, he has. His traditional Yorkshire flat cap. So these riders will now need to work together to try and catch the riders in front before they get to the end of this race. So as you can see, these riders are now 30.7 kilometres from the end. If you look at the top bar on the white bar at the top, there is a grey bar which will turn blue as these riders complete kilometres and tag that distance down. So these riders are technically the more experienced racers on Zwift than riders, the stronger riders, which is why they're getting set off last. The idea is that all of these groups will meet somewhere near the finish and give us a bit of a sprint finish. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. So as you can see on the left, the power that these riders are putting out now is 300 to 350 watts, which is a good power output for these riders. And if we jump back through the groups, you'll notice that there is a bit of a difference in the power that these riders are putting out. So these riders are putting out between 250 and 300. So there on the left hand side we've got the sprints banner there to come up, to give us an idea of how fast they went through that last sprint section. It's not relevant for this particular race, but as we get more and more into the series we may start to use these parts of the route. So that's the sprint banner that they've just come out there, and you'll get confetti because these riders have put times in for that event. Most of these riders have decided to choose aero bikes with deep section wheels looking at it. And all these little things do make a difference to the actual speed of the rider on the course. Just following all best names under the top banner there telling us who we're following. You may occasionally get little comments on the right that pop out. There's saying the and then every now and again you might get a rider that tries to either break away or drops off the back. So that's Andy there being dropped back from the group in front, and then you've got the time distances apart as well. So we'll drop back and we'll catch up with the B riders. Watching the B group with Chris Temple. In that group we've got Paul Best, Owen Newbury, Jason Shipton, Anthony Tugwell, Nick Whiteley. They're the group that's this little group just riding together now, hunting down the C group in front of them. There's around about a minute and a half between this B group and this C group. We'll drop back to the A group. The these A riders are now chasing down the B group, and they've got 2.5 minutes to make up on that B group with 30 kilometres of the race. The route today is the to the front of this race, and we will catch up with Andy. Andy looks like he could be just heading towards the climb. He's on about a 6 or 7% increase there, so he could be he'll be heading up the first King of the Mountains reverse, so to speak. He'll have a bit of a descent to get to about the 10 kilometre pace, and then he'll start to climb very slowly towards the Watopia sprint. So this route total is 29.7 kilometres long, 18.5 mile, with a total of 254 metres of climbing, which is not a great deal really. There's a few segments along the way that these riders will be able to take and look back on in Strava to see where they're getting to. So this is Andy Cosgrove. That's currently at the head of the race, and he's being chased down by the C group. Now the C group are around about 40 to 50 seconds behind him, and it looks like that group's broken up quite a bit. So you've got Colin Hogan there, who's second, and broke away with it looks like him and Carl Maynard have got a bit of a gap on the rest of the bunch, around about 20 seconds. So them four riders have broken up on the base of the climb, so to speak. And it looks like a few of these B riders have started to catch up with the C riders now. Now the idea is the C riders would try to jump on the back of the B group and sit with them and see if they can hang in the back of that group. So you can just see the riders communicating in the text box as well. These riders will also probably be in a Discord group or on a live chat where they're actually talking to each other, explaining what they're going to do, who's going to go off the front, who's going to attack, how they're going to work together. At the end of the day, this is an individual race, but without each other, they're not going to be able to bring everyone else back. And then also, obviously, these riders need to keep away from the A group which are chasing them down. So the A group there have made up around about a minute and a half. And it looks like they've got a bit of a break in that group. Just following Mark Best there. He looks like he's riding with Joe. Toby and James, who seem to be riding together as a pair. Obviously the game chooses the camera angles that we look at. So that banner on the left there is just showing that Andy's gone over the Zwift King of the Mountains, so it shows you the average percent of 2%. The climb is 2.4 kilometres long, and it took him 5 minutes and 44 seconds. So given that Andy was either an uncategorised or a B rider, you would expect him to be slightly slower than the other riders, so you can see the C riders just starting to come through now. So that means that towards the front of this race, those riders are all catching up and bunching together. So you've got Colin Hogan went over in 5 minutes 18, and then that is it, we'll scroll through in a sec. So as I said before, you will see big blue banners appear above people's heads, or big blue thumbs ups, and they are the equivalent of a like, so to speak, and it's called a ride on. So this is Andy just coming down from the on the backside of the King of the Mountains now. So he will be able to get a bit of a break. It does descend as in a real life situation slightly, somewhat, and it will freewheel to a certain speed to a certain extent depending on what your weight and the incline is. And like I say, the incline shows in the top right hand corner there. So it doesn't look like they've quite caught Andy yet. He's still 20 seconds away from Carl Maynard and Colin Hogan. Still maintaining a good average power. So we'll drop back to the C's. All you've got to do is look at the graphic around where the riders are. So you can see these riders have actually come down the descent already and are heading under the into the tunnels. And if you look up to the banner on the top right, you can just see the green dots arriving to around about where Andy is now. So it won't be long, it'll be a few matter of minutes, maybe a few seconds before these two catch up with Andy. There'll be a slight descent into the underwater tunnels. So this is the first of our C riders catching our D rider. And then just slightly back up the road from them, you've got two more of our C riders. You can just see Nick Whiteley there putting a comment up saying Temple to 15. That must mean he's going to ride on the front to 15 kilometres, or possibly 15 minutes. So the world that we're racing in is Zwift's own world, so to speak. It was made purely and simply for the game. They can develop this and change it as and when they want, really. So this is the underwater section. The tunnel's underwater. Every now and then you do get some nice sharks and stingrays swimming by. Doesn't look to be much in the way of in the water today. So we'll drop back and we'll catch up with Paul Best. He looks to be riding well in this group of 5 riders. In this group you've got Ian Cox, Anthony Tugwell, Paul Best, Chris Temple, and so those 5 riders there are working hard to catch up with the other group, C riders in front. These riders are the B group, and then slightly back from them we've got another group of Jason Shipman, Owen Newbury and Andy Redman. A further minute and a half down the road you've got the Manilla riders. So these riders seem to be riding pretty well as a team time trial. Drop back and catch up with the second group in the B riding. Again, these riders have jumped into the tunnel. See all the coral and the little fishies swimming around. this group we've got Jason Shipton, Owen Newbury, Andy Redman and Jamie Tyman. That's these 4 riders riding in the blue Zwift kit. There's a lot of communication going on in that group in front of these and the B riders. You can just see the comments coming in on the green banner on the right hand side. A lot of talking, a lot of communicating. So these riders have done 11.5 kilometres already of this 27 kilometre course. Just over a third of the way. Drop back to our A group and see how they're getting on. So it looks like these 4 riders are back together and they are only 55 seconds from catching the B group. Now depending on how their tactics will work, they'll be talking to each other, deciding on how they're going to ride. Are they going to get up to the B group and then take a break, or are they going to press on through? We shall see. So you can see the different bikes that these riders have all got. And there's, I believe, that is Joel, who's riding the Tron bike, which is the bike with the luminous coloured wheels. Quest's just got some confetti there for completing a weekly time goal. He must have set himself a limit of how long he wanted to ride this week. Out of the water, slight incline to get back up onto dry land, and they'll come round towards a wooden bridge and a bit of a marina. They took another 20 seconds out of the B group in front of them. So they're now caught, as we go back to the front of this race, Andy Cosgrove is now being caught by the B group. He's sat on the back of that B group. If he can sit on the back of them, they should be able to tow him around while he gets a bit of recovery. I just don't know how people work. This B group is a strong group and they are working together well. These riders will know that the A group are chasing them down and they won't want to be caught. So we're going to head up to a very, very slight incline on this next section. It's there's a couple of little switchbacks as they head up and round. Nothing too serious. But it might give us an opportunity to see a few of these groups together. So there's Andy just at the back of that group. Certainly looks like Nick's the road captain for this group, issuing instructions and advice, and it seems to be working well. They seem to be keeping a good distance from the A groups, which are chasing them down. This is now the front of our race. So this group is now getting slightly bigger as they are catching the riders in front. So we'll just follow Anthony Tugwell. This group has got Anthony Tugwell, Paul Best, Ian Cox, Colin Rogan, Nick Wheatley, Chris Temple, Cam Maynard. top right of the screen you can see the green dots on the different stages of this little switchback incline. And at the bottom of that climb, just as they were coming onto it, was the A group of riders. So we'll just switch back to them. They're going to sweep up and catch a couple of these riders in front. It looks like it could be Owen Newbury and Jason Shipton. So that'll be their first catch of the ride. Not much chat on the Zwift chat from these riders, which makes me think they're either on a voice chat or a Discord, something along them lines. They're working together well. These riders race regularly for Manilla in our A category on the Zwift race. So they'll know the tactics, and they'll have it in mind of what they've got to do, how far they've got to go. About a minute to catch this the B group in front. And they've completed 16 kilometres of this 13-kilometre circuit. So they're crossing over the bridge, heading back towards the main island. Completed another sprint there, so you get an idea on the left again of what the sprint section was, where these riders are all finishing across the line. So currently at the head of the race, or at that time, was Chris Temple as he crossed the line first. And now they're heading slightly uphill, 5% incline. See the sprint section there with the green banner in the background and the bridge that they've just crossed. So this next section is quite a fast rolling section as we roll round this side of the island. These riders will want to keep pushing on, they won't be able to catch them too soon. They'll want to make them work hard. They'll drop back and catch up with the ears and see where they're at. Got our group of 4 A riders there. People we had on the start line for this race, which is a good number of races. Fingers crossed we can get these riders out onto a race circuit at some point in the future. Nice to get back outside and do some real life racing, but at the minute this is what we've got. We're making the best of what we've got. Every now and again you'll see the power on the right go red. That means that these riders are actually putting in a bit of a sprint effort. See James Wilson there went red to 9 watts per kilo. So that means he's trying to make a break for it. Looks like he's chasing down Mark and Toby there. As I said, this is quite a fast rolling section, so if you're using quite a bit of power to get up the bank, so you can take a bit of a rest and a bit of a free wheel if you like. The average speed on this section is quite high. Look on the top left, you've got an average speed of around 40 to 50 kilometres an hour. And then as they hit inclines, it slows down and speeds up. So we'll drop back to the B group. We're coming back round just towards the seafront under the banner. 18.7 kilometres completed. So currently at the front of this group we've got Paul Best at the front, with Ian Cox and Anthony Tugwell. Just following Colin Hogan, who's just at the back of that little trio of riders. Not quad of riders, I do apologise, it's four of them. And then a little bit further down the road from them, you've got Chris Temple. Only a couple of seconds, they've got a chance to get back on as they take on this next little bit of an incline. Now going back up the climb that they came down earlier on. So this is now the king of the mountains in the right direction, a 5% climb, just under a kilometre long. So these riders will all group back up. So that's like the front group of 5 all back together. Red banner there across the bottom of the road, the red dotted line, that signifies the start of the climb. Some of these corners get up to around about 10 to 14%, but it's just in the corners and then flattens out. So as they go around this corner, we'll just keep an eye on what the percentage goes up to. So it goes up to 11% on that particular bit there, and then it'll flatten out a little bit. Flatten out now 9, 8. Still a good incline. So the head of this race currently is this group with 5 riders in it. What's technically the Manilla B group as they set off. So they were the 3rd group that set off. And then hot on their heels is currently the Manilla A riders. James Wilson, Mark Best, Joel Garner and Toby Simpson. Them 4 riders have been on the hunt. There's the red dotted line, so these riders are literally a minute behind the B group riders with around about 10 kilometres to go. That big green feather above Mark's head signifies he's had a power up. And he's using a power up which is a lightweight power up, so that reduces his weight as he climbs. Gives him a bit of advantage, means he doesn't have to use as much power to keep up with the group. Only lasts for a certain amount of time and then it'll disappear and you're back to riding equal. So there's 3 of these riders together. It looks like they've lost someone. Toby's just away off the front, just a little bit in front of these riders, literally 1 or 2 seconds. Toby is a good strong youth rider, riding with the adults. I think he's around 17 or 18, so technically one of the younger riders in the team. Against the older guys. So he's just slowed down there, just to let these riders catch him up a little bit so he can tag back onto the back of the group. So you can see now that these riders are reaching the top of this climb. Chris Temple, Paul Best, Ian Cox, them riders there. That group of B riders have hit the top in 2 minutes 35. You would expect these A riders to go across the top a little bit quicker than them. They've cut the lead down to 44 seconds. So these riders should take the top 4 spots on that Kingdom Mountain chart. You'll see as they go through, they're just crossing under the dotted banner now. So it looks like them riders are going to take the top spots on that leaderboard there. So they've took around about 25-30 seconds out of the B group just on that climb alone. That's why these guys are in the A section, if you like, the A riders. They're more experienced and more power. We'll catch up with the front of the race, see how well these riders are getting on. They'll now be thinking about the homeward stretch. Are they going to stick together to ride it in and take it for a sprint, or is someone going to go along? We know we've got a good few time trialers within the team. They could be quite willing to go along from an early point. Being one of the better time trialers in the A group, he come through. So 22 kilometres completed. These riders just keeping the A riders at bay, around about 40 seconds. They've kept their lead too. It'll be an interesting sprint finish if this manages to keep up in the last 5k. This bit is quite rolling. Paul Best on the front with Anthony Tugwell, Ian Cock, Carl Hogan and Chris Temple and Nick. So back to our chase group and the A riders. Getting down the same climb that these B riders have just gone down, and they're slowly eating away. Watching James there and Toby both freewheeling. You can see their RPMs have dropped and they're sitting on their top tubes, which means they're freewheeling and aero, probably just trying to bring their heart rate down as they prepare for their finish. Best up front of this A group there, looks like he's just going to catch, I believe it's Nick Wheatley. So that's Nick there from the B group, just going through. Nick will try to jump on the back of this group to drag himself through, if he's got anything left, and then he'll just sit at the back of this group and use these riders to get him back up to the B group, which he knows that they're going to catch. But it looks like Nick's not done yet. He's willing to put a turn in the front. So we've got around about a 40-second gap as we head towards the final throws of this race. Towards the front of this group of 5 riders. down here, we might catch a glimpse of the A riders as we do the switchback and come back through the marina. So as these B riders cross over on the bridge on the other side, I would imagine the A riders will be coming around this side. There's been a track that they're on now. None of these riders will want to be caught. So these riders are now just crossing the wooden bridge, and then on the other side, just as I thought, these riders are just coming off the end of the concrete bridge. So it's only a matter of time before these A riders catch the B. It doesn't look like Nick's been able to sit with them. He's dropped off, he's around 15 seconds back now. We'll jump back to the front and we'll wait and see what happens. This is a relatively flat section, so it is all down to their speed and power to catch them now. There's no more climbs, nothing that can help them out on the route. Looks like somebody's issuing a lot of ride-ons there. These riders now heading back down towards the seafront finish. Riders still managing to take a few seconds out here and there. Got the gap down to around about 30 seconds now. They'll be talking amongst themselves, trying to get these riders caught. Gap's down to about 25 seconds now. So is the winner going to come from this group, or is the winner going to come from the B group in front? It will be an interesting one. We will have one slight incline, if you like, as they ride out of the tunnels, which may give the A riders a chance to catch. We'll see what happens. Seconds, so if we just switch back to the front of the A group, these riders are just behind the lead group there now, as they pass under the tree as well, so literally not very far behind the current leaders of this race, which is this group of 5. As we head into the last part of this race, 27.6 kilometres completed of the 30 kilometres. And the A group have got the gap down to around about 20 seconds. The gap's just tumbling now. Down all the time. If you look at the average powers, it'll give you an idea as to whether you think they're going to catch them or not. This group's currently riding at around about 3.5 watts per kilo. The other group is riding at around about 4.5. If they can keep that pace up, then it looks like the catch will be on before the finish. We'll jump back and catch Toby and find out whether they can actually see the riders in front of them. Not quite. are going to start to head uphill very slightly very soon. Let's see how these riders get on. Now they're just starting to hit that very slight incline out up to 3%, which will slow them down considerably and give the A riders a chance to catch. 15 seconds is the gap. James Wilson on the front of the chase group with Toby, Mark and Joel chasing hot on their heels. These riders will now be thinking about themselves, riding for themselves and riding for the win. Mark Best just put in a big effort there. Around about a kilometre to go. And there, just as they come out of the tunnel, you can just see them in the distance behind these riders. Is the A group 10 seconds back. Could make for an exciting finish if these riders all make it to the line together. They'll be digging in deep, the A group now. They've been seeing, they've got them in the sights. They know that the finish is around near where the big skyscraper buildings are on the seafront. So they'll head up to here, they'll take a right and head around the seafront and finish on the marina front. So this is the A group, and there's the B group just in front of them. So this is the B group. Any second we're going to see the A group. You can see their names are in the bottom of the screen, 40 to 50 seconds back. And there's the A group. They're going to make the catch literally right on the line. Who are we edging for the win? The A group have caught them. There's the finish. Is it going to be James Wilson? Looks like it's James Wilson for the win. Toby Simpson behind, Joe Garner, Colin Hogan, Ian Cox. It looks something along them lines. The final results will be released and shown. These riders will ride till the end. There's a blue gate that they will cross. I wonder if that's where they're finishing it. It looks like they're finishing it on the blue gate. So the results will be shown at the end of this race. These riders will all see their own results and how they've got on. And then obviously the results will be posted on the Manilla Facebook page. So these guys have now gone back into the real world of Manilla. Sorry, into the real world of Watopia and riding with all of the other riders that there are current on Zwift. So all that remains for now is for us to end this live stream. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, thank you very much.